Welcome back again. You're still watching us here on Cairo Local Time. And now we're going to talk more about women and the role that women have been exerting throughout the Egyptian history, if I may say. But specifically the changes that took place in the power of women and the role of women, whether it was in 2011 or even on June 30th revolutions. Ever since then, women started having a more of an active role and of an equal opportunity on many levels here in Egypt and on various institutions and even in leading positions. And that was something that women has always hoped for and have proven to be successful in. Not only that, but the leadership in Egypt is always promoting women and supporting women and the equality of women. And that is part of the 2030 agenda. To speak more about women and the role of women and what else is women looking for in terms of challenges to be faced. We are very delighted to have joining us over the phone prominent Egyptian politician, former Minister of Family and Population, and also former Assistant to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Moushira Khattab. Thank you very much for joining us, Your Excellency.
My pleasure. Thank you.
When we have to speak of women, there's, to be honest, no more better than you who would be able to tell us more about the importance of the women's role in the Egyptian society. And I know it's been a repeated question, but if we want to talk about the feelings that women felt and in terms of their importance and their voices being heard, specifically since 2011 up until today, how can you reflect on that?
Well, Egyptian women have been doing very, very well, actually. And, I think they're very pleased with what they have achieved so far, and this gives reason to be more persistent in getting more. I mean, achieving their rights in its entirety. When we speak about women participation, usually we talk about political participation and economic empowerment. These two areas are crucial, and to achieve them, women must have a seat at the table to take part in making decisions that affect their lives.
Your Excellency, can you hear me?
It seems that you are not hearing me. I have an echo. I hear a strong echo.
Yes, if we can kindly...
Did you hear what I said?
Yes, I can hear what you said, but I was just hoping if there was something else that you want to add, because I'm hearing an echo as well. We hope that we can kindly fix this technical difficulties. Now, I want to ask you also, Your Excellency, about what are the vital steps that women started taking since 2010 in specific? There are many leading positions today, and they're also being recognized greatly by the leadership, and they represent a large percentage now than it was previously stated at the Parliament, for instance. So if we're talking about the challenges that women still need to face, that women are still rather facing in this period, what can you say?
Well, we are here talking about two things. We're talking about laws, and we're talking about breaking barriers facing the implementation of the laws. Egypt has now seen a constitution that for the first time in our history puts human rights as one of the foundations of the state, the civil state. And human rights are the rights of everyone, including women's rights. Egyptian women now have constitutional rights. If you read the constitution, it's not only Article 11 devoted to the rights of women. It's not only Article 53 talking about non-discrimination in the enjoyment of human rights by each and every Egyptian, regardless of their gender, religion, whatever. But if you look at the Constitution, you will find that the right to non-discrimination is a cross-cutting theme in each and every provision of the Constitution. This is a huge achievement for Egyptian women, and Egyptian women achieved this because of their diligence and also because of the political will. There is a strong political support for women to achieve their human rights.
To see now on the civil level, the civil rights of women. Again, there have been a lot of concerns concerning women rights, whether it is the divorced women or family rights and so forth. Today, as we are in 2020, and with all these great support, whether it's on a legislative level or on a constitutional level, to the rights of women on a civil level as well, where is it today?
First of all, we must realize or rest assured that there is no discrimination between civil and political rights on one hand and economic, social and cultural rights on the other hand. Civil rights means the right to have identity for children to get birth certificates, and the right to vote, and the right to choose, and the right to freely express your views. These are civil rights. You are talking about family laws. This is a very tricky area. If we go back to the Constitution makes the ceiling very high. Now we need to pass laws that will translate the Constitution into reality. I'm proud to say that we have a child law that meets with the highest international standards, human rights international standards, and this law is in effect since 2008. When it comes to civil rights of women in the private sphere, that's the right to get married, to get divorced, child custody, child maintenance, we still have some gaps. We still have frictions, as you can follow. In the case of divorce and child custody, we have many cases before the courts, and this has to do with the emancipation of women. Women now feel that they are equal, and some men still think that they are superior to women. So there is a friction, and we still need to amend this law, but you cannot put laws that does not reflect the culture or does not enjoy the support of the people, because unless people, and when I say people, it's lay people and the highest echelon of the judiciary, the judge who sits to deal with a case on a child custody or divorce or must have the conviction that men and women are equal human beings. Yes. So we still have a step to take. We still have a hurdle to cross to put in place a family law that ensures peace in the family. To make it very brief.
Education is an essential tool for empowering women, and we know that there's a lot of awareness being raised, specifically in rural areas and different governorates, about the importance for literacy and for women to continue their schools and education. But still, we do have school dropouts, and we still have illiteracy in certain areas. What do you think is the role of the institutions and the government that they should further do in the upcoming period to help empower women?
Let me give you one simple reason why we must put education as our top priority. You hear many officials, you hear many experts complain about the demographics, the changing demographics in Egypt, the population increase or the population and it is a big problem. Last year alone, we increased by 1 million. 1 million child were born, and they want education, they want health, so on and so forth. The simplest and the surest and the shortest way to achieve the balance in the population increase is the education of women, girls' education. When a girl goes to school and continues her education, She will make rational decision about her marriage. She will be able to stand up to social pressure to quit school and marry at a very young age. Once you achieve this, you will not have the problem we have now with the population explosion that really eats up all activities for economic growth. People are complaining and they don't realize that it's because of the population explosion. So girls' education is crucial. It is the surest way to achieve population balance and to improve the quality of the population, improve the level of their education, improve their level of health and the level of health care system.
Speaking of the economic perspective, Your Excellency, the Egyptian women are a very important factor in the cycle or the economic cycle of Egypt, even on a labor level. However, there are still some obstacles that are being faced by women who are working in Egypt. If we're going to talk about the opportunities from your perspective or the eases that should be further done to help support women economically, what can you tell us?
I'll give you one simple example. Look around you. Everywhere in the world, countries are struggling to raise their gross domestic product, the GDP. Experts, many studies, the World Bank, the IMF have proven that if women involvement or participation in the labor market equal that to men, like if you have the same number working women like working men in the labor market, the GDP of Japan will increase by 9%, USA 5%, and Egypt 34%. So we want to encourage more women to be involved at the labor market, especially at the private sector. In Egypt, for instance, more and more women work for the public sector, for the government, because it's more family friendly and its social status is more respected, so on and so forth. But women working in the private sector are very few. And to improve the competitiveness of the private sector, you have to raise the number of women working in the private sector to equal that of men. Why women don't work in the private sector? Because it's very demanding and because the system puts the responsibility and the cost of social services, like if she wants to take maternity leave or whatever, it's the employer that pays for it. But if the government pays for it, then the private sector will be more encouraged to employ women. This will improve the competitiveness of the private sector. And we have seen the impact of COVID-19. Countries with stronger, competitive private sector cope better with the pandemic than otherwise.
We say that there's still possibly some jobs or fields in which women face discrimination in, and how is that hampering actually their roles in society?
Well, I have to say we have a major challenge with governance in the private sector. Now, we want the private sector to be good enough to attract women. I'm looking at it from the other way around because the private sector usually refrains from hiring women. They are thinking that if she's not married, then she will get married and be pregnant, and have children, and take maternity leave, and they cannot afford this. But actually, having more women in the private sector improves the private sector, boosts its competitiveness, and makes the private sector more resilient. So we have to focus on governance in the private sector as much as we are pushing for governance in the public sector.
Well, actually, Your Excellency Ambassador Moushira al-Khattab, prominent political Egyptian politician, former Minister of Family and Population, and also former Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs. We thank you very much for joining us here on Cairo Local Time. Thank you very much for your contribution. And that brings us to the end of our episode of Cairo Local Time for Tuesday. Thank you for watching.